In this 8th chapter of this project, we're going to be previewing the model in Marmoset. This is kind of just an extra addition to our project, but it's not really necessary, but it does help with viewing the model and any things that might show up in the lighting situation in Marmoset. So let's get started. Let's go into Marmoset. And I already have a few cameras set up from my previous opening of this, so but I deleted everything else so we can start from scratch. So if we go to import mesh and then copy this address, this top thing here, and then paste it in here, all it shows up is our OBJs, so we can actually just grab all these and hit open, and then it'll group them for us. So here's our entire scene with the 0, 0 point right here on this right bottom corner. Now that we have that, all we got to do is bring in our materials. But look at this. So it set it up all in groups. So all we got to do is subtract these out so that they are compressed in. And now we know this one is map B. This one goes to map A. This one goes to map B. So and so on. So let's create our maps here. I'm going to go to Unreal 4 template. And this Marmoset deal in this tutorial is just kind of like an extra. It's not really mandatory. We could just go right to Unreal, but I like to see what it looks in this just to see how it reacts to the lighting and things like that before we get into actually Unreal. So I'm going to call this map A. Map A. And I'm going to grab our normal. So let's go to our maps, which is going to be in Scene Assets, Images, Final Maps, and then Map A. So we just copy this address and paste it in here. And we're looking for our normal first. Then we have our gloss, albedo, which I'm calling it diffuse, metalness. We actually have an extra occlusion map that we made. And then we also have map ID, but we don't need that right now. And then for emissive one, we have an emissive, but that's not mandatory for this map. So I'm just going to invert the gloss and duplicate it. We're going to call this one map B and grab our maps. So we'll go to map B, and we want our normal first, and then our gloss, albedo, metalness, and occlusion. So and the reason I called this one my diffuse is if we take a look at it, it also has some of these posters here and some color to it, and this here was just flat, so I also added some other things that kind of make it a diffuse texture more than an albedo. It's got a little bit more to it, but it's very close. So let's just keep going here and create a map C, and I'm just going to go back and go to map C. We want our normal, and all the rest we have is just the diffuse, AO, and glow. So I'm going to use the diffuse for the gloss and the albedo and the metalness. And then the occlusion, we have another map for that, and then our glow, which is our emissive. So we'll have to click here and go to emissive map, drag that over, and that's going to be this one here, glow. I guess I could have named that emissive, but it's actually a little better because it's shorter, glow. So okay, so now we have that. So I'm actually going to duplicate this map B, and we'll go to map D, and then go back, and map D is our windows. So we want our normal, we want our gloss, and these normal, gloss, and other maps are just kind of plain because I don't really want anything on them but the solid color. So all we're missing now is our albedo, which is going to be this blue here. Basically this is just going to be the window panes. So all these are just different UV maps for our planes. So I just mixed them up and kind of threw them in there, and then threw this texture on it. So we have that, and then we also have an emissive map, a glow map, that we're going to use this one for, called blackout. This one's full. This is more lights on in the building, and this is a little bit less, and this is like only a few lights on the building. So we'll hit that. Now we can apply our materials. In fact, we can apply it to all of them that are called map B. I guess I could have started with A, but let's, since we already have map B here, we'll, oh, okay, maybe we'll start with A. So, is there any more A's? No. So I'm going to apply A. Now let's apply our B. And apply. And then we'll apply C. And we have the D map, which is the road. I think that's the only one. Oh, no, Windows is D. And our road, we did not make that map yet. So we're going to have to duplicate this and call this map E. And I'll just go grab our road texture, map E. So our normal, gloss, metal, diffuse, or albedo, different terms, and then we don't have an occlusion for that. So map E, which is our road, we can apply that. And so here we go. We have our entire model and all our textures here. So first of all, we have some of these handles overlapping. So we don't need some of these. We don't need our high poly windows. We don't need those. We don't need our high poly handles. We'll just turn those off for right now. Post, road, sidewalk. Okay. So this is all of our low poly. And looks like our Detroit Entertainment here is kind of weird, but I think we could fix that by turning on double-sided materials in Unreal, so that's not really going to be a huge issue. Let's take a look at our high poly. So I'm just going to turn off our low poly window and our low poly handles, and we'll replace them with our high poly window and high poly handles. So the windows, you can't really tell much. Only reason you'll be able to tell is on the wireframe. But the high poly handles, so that's our high poly, low poly. A little bit of a difference. And also, since before I added some posters, some decals, and kind of like this Detroit Tigers poster here. So now we kind of have our street here. So I'm just going to turn off the low poly, and we're going to keep the high poly. And then for the windows, I'm going to get rid of the low poly ones and just keep on the high poly. Okay. What I really want to check out right now is our sky. And let's turn this to evening construction. Let's turn our wireframe off. And I want to make sure there's glow. If we clone this camera, duplicate it, I'm going to call this camera 1. So cam 1. And what I want to do is actually increase our bloom and our size and go to camera 1. So now we're getting this nice really glow thing here from our sign. Looks like it's a little too bright though, so I'm going to go to our map C, which is our sign, and bring down the intensity a little bit more. And I'm going to actually make the color more of a reddish orange. So that looks kind of better. We can increase this temperature all the way up, or intensity all the way up, but really we only needed about like 0.25 maybe. So Now we have that, and just a little tip when you're using Marmoset, our map A, the gloss, if it's not at invert, it'll look really dull, so you want that inverted. And you can really see our high poly bulbs in here too as well. So that turned out good. So if we can change the sky, we can also add a light. I'm just going to make this one a directional light. Cast shadows, bring down the brightness a bit, and then I'm going to move it. We'll say the sun's beating down like that, and then I'm going to move it. Let's turn intensity up a little bit more. Okay, so that's good. Now I can make this any color we want, so I'm going to kind of go for like a orangish, yellowish daytime light. And we can also turn on our occlusion, local reflections. Turn this way up, we can turn this way up. So now also if we turn on depth of field or post effects like flare, you bring this up and make the threshold a bit bigger. We can get some nice reflections going. Okay, so see if we can do some depth of field here. And maybe some sharpen up these details. Little vignette. Okay, so now without our light, it kind of looks kind of dark. So we can also change our different sky. So if we go to like desert road, we can get a lot brighter. And you just have to change some of the settings with these different ones to match the lighting conditions. I kind of like this one. This one we'd have to turn off our light because it'd be a little bit too bright. We can also change the brightness of the actual sky. So let's go with this one, and I'm just going to bring the brightness down, and maybe our light brightness down. Let's make it a little bit more like a yellow color, maybe more orangish. And we can take a look at this. Now we're getting a lot of boxes here. I think just because it's a lot of high polys, and I think with our depth of field and some of these other settings for maybe horizontal smoothing or things like that that will produce those artifacts. But I'm pretty sure if we go to scene capture the image, and let's take a look at if that captured those artifacts or not. I don't think it will. Looks like it didn't, so that's good. So that's kind of what we have right now. Oh, it did. So we'll have to fix that by changing some of the settings. Maybe even getting rid of our high poly. I didn't really think it would do that. Okay. But it looks pretty good besides that. So let's figure out why that is. In fact, I'm gonna take a little break from this tutorial. We'll come back. I'll try to find out what it is, and then I'll tell you what it was. And then after that, I want to start getting this stuff imported into Unreal, and then lighting it. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.